Welcome back to Aiche. My name's Hannah, and today I wanted to dive into the world of contemporary or modern art. I've seen a lot of discourse online about whether the super bad, simple artworks we are now seeing in galleries such as Tate Modern that I went to the other day are modern or contemporary. There's a lot of discourse around whether they're modern or contemporary, and for the sake of this video I will be using the word contemporary. I am currently studying contemporary media practice and have looked at such artworks as part of my course. So I will be using the term contemporary from here. According to Dane Fine Art, modern and contemporary art can both be considered revolutionary, but contemporary art is more about experimentation and freedom. Modern art is an expression of individuality, while contemporary art focuses on social impact with society as the primary focus. So modern art sort of came from photography, meaning that art was no longer a way of taking a picture in a sense. It is no longer about realism, it is more about expressionism. So from about the late 19th century, early 20th century, we kind of came into this expressionism where we got things like pointillism, trying to think of an artist, Picasso, things like this is what we consider modern art, where it has come from that rejection of the realism art that we used to see in oil paintings. And contemporary art is more like the art that we see very close to now in the last 20 years or so, depicting more of things that have a social impact, things that make you think. But as I will show later on, there is a lot of interesting things about this kind of contemporary art that is not necessarily related to the skill of the artist, let's say. Tate Modern, the gallery I will be focusing on today, has a plethora of both contemporary and modern art. So for the sake of this video, I will be referring to art mentioned as contemporary arts. So don't quote me in the comments. I will be dunking on a lot of this art because it is just unacceptable what we see in these galleries. Tate Modern is a free gallery, but even so, I think some of this art is not good enough. not good enough to be worth the amount of money that we spend on this. So please don't come at me in the comments because I will be dunking at this. And I will be referring to it as contemporary art. So, yeah. So if this is something you'd like to debate with me, sit back, relax, grab a cup of coffee and enjoy. As an art student, the medium of art and presentation is something I am particularly interested in, and it pains me to see so much missed potential in some of these pieces, which undermine artists who spend more than 5 minutes on their work. Additionally, these artists sell their works for extreme prices that are in no way representative of the work that they have produced, in my humble opinion. Some might argue that this is the point and that the artworks are meant to produce certain feelings in their audiences, such as anger, when you are looking at a literal white piece of paper, as we will see later on. There were some white pieces of paper in the Tate Modern that were not just being sold as paper. However, this does not mean that such artworks should be revered or sought after like they are today. There are plenty of talented artists who do not earn nearly as much as these expressionists who sell literal white paintings for extortionate prices. So let's have a look at my trip to Tate Modern and one of London's most well-known galleries. The first thing you want to notice about Tate Modern is that it is free to get in. When I got to the gates, there were some security guys there looking in our bags. They, for some reason, didn't decide to look in my bag, so if I was holding a machete, they wouldn't have known. But you can give a £10 or £20, or I think it was £5 or £10 donation, which is a little bit steep. There wasn't anything lower than that, and it's like one of those where you tap your card to give a donation. I didn't give anything, because I'm a student. When you first go up to the gallery, it is this big brutalist building, which some people may like. I personally don't really like the simplicity of brutalist buildings. They are very boring in a sense. It's very brown. You walk into the main hallway and it's full of nothing. There is nothing there, which is kind of sad. When I've been before, there have been like this big like sheets in the hallway as you first walk in, but that has been taken down, so there was nothing really to look at when you first walk in. So it's a bit underwhelming when you first walk into this brutalist building. So I guess that's kind of the point of a brutalism. This video is not about brutalism, but I just think that the Tate Modern isn't that inviting to people in a sense. When you walk in as well, there is a lovely cafe called the Corner Cafe, and I love this. It's got a little sign that's like on the corner of the sign. I love it. I don't know why. It just makes me happy. The cafe is overpriced, as is most of the gift shops, but it is nice that there is a cafe and you can have a coffee if you wish. There are 9 levels to the Tate Modern, and there are only 4 accessible to the public. The ground floor is mostly just the gift shop area, as well as the first floor that is also a gift shop and the corner cafe. And then there are 2, 3, and 4 where you can go. Some of those levels have a paid for exhibition, which is fine. I don't have anything against that. But I went into just the free exhibitions on my trip the other day because I didn't want to spend money on exhibitions. And we wanted to look at the stuff that everyone can go and see. It's more accessible to everyone rather than just the stuff in these exhibitions. So there are a plethora of things in the Tate Modern. It is not just stupid pieces of art that are going to make me annoyed. There are plenty of really cool pieces. When I first came in, I saw this lovely mirror piece, which I thought was quite cool. It is fairly simple in a way, but I feel like there is a lot of maths going on here. So this is Something Old, Something New, 1974 by Monet Sharudi Farmafamian. I'm sorry if I said your name wrong. And it says, throughout her life, Monet was inspired by traditional mirror mosaic work found in architectural spaces and throughout Iran and Western Asia, primarily shrines. However, her exchanges with minimalist art in New York also shaped her techniques. Symmetry, repetition, and principles of mystical geometry are central to her sculptures. She wrote, "Mirror works do not belong only to museums or the rich. They are part of our living artistic experience, and they each have an ancient history behind them, but mirrors speak to contemporary human beings as well." This is a really interesting piece of work. I like it. This is one of the few that I actually like. I do see its simplicity, but I understand where the artist is coming from with this, trying to showcase the kind of more rural aesthetic of mirrors rather than just saying that they are for the rich and powerful. And I think that's cool. I like that. Okay. Next, we came into this room with Gerard Richter, where there were these interesting paintings, which I thought I could maybe do myself, were on the walls. Since the 1980s, Richter has frequently made abstract works by applying layers of paint and then wiping a squeegee across a surface. As the upper layers of paint are dragged across the canvas, earlier moments from the painting's creation are allowed to resurface. The cage paintings are an outcome of several layers of painting and erasure. Their surfaces are animated by lines, and the squeegee has paused by brushstrokes, other scrapings, and areas of the skin or oil paint has dried and rippled. The paint seems delicate and fluid in some areas, coarser and more solid in others. Richter was listening to the music of John Cage while he worked on these paintings and titled them after the composer. There are no direct links between any particular work in this series and any piece of music by Cage. However, Richter has long been interested in Cage ideas about ambient sound and silence, as well as his controlled use of chance procedures and musical composition. That may be, but I also think that anyone could say this. Anyone could make a painting, put some random paint on a piece of paper, use a sponge, squish it all over the place, maybe use some paper, move it around a little bit, it's not really that hard of a thing that anyone can do, and then say at the end of it, I was also listening to this guy, this composer at the same time, so this is really cool. It's like he's helped me with this work, and I'm going to name it after him. And while that's all well and good, I do think that anyone could do that. I could do that myself. I could just get out a canvas, squish some paint on it, get a sponge it around, and then say, I was actually listening to some music at the same time, so they obviously influenced my work. And I think that anyone could say that. So I'm not sure how this artwork is perceived as being so incredibly amazing that it needs to be in a gallery, and that someone or the gallery itself has clearly paid a lot of money for. I have to disagree that this is of any use to anyone. And we will get into a little bit later about why it's a bit wrong for these galleries to have this expensive artworks that are just not worth the amount that they spend on them. But we'll talk about that later. I then went to this lovely room by Agnes Martin, where we had these paintings, these white paintings with pastel colours drawn over the top. I'm not going to read the thing for this because I can't focus my camera apparently, but when I think about these paintings, I'm thinking again, I could make these, just put some masking tape over some canvases, draw some lines. It's not that hard. Sometimes you can kind of appreciate the maths that goes into this, but at the same time, this really isn't taking that much maths into it. You're just using a piece of tape to stop your paint going into the white areas of your canvas. And I'm not sure that this is worth the money that is being paid these artists to be placed in here. Sorry, Agnes, I don't like these. I could do these myself. However, next we go into the most egregious room of them all, where everything in this room was white and done by Li Yuanchai, Perio, Manzoni, and Bram Bogarts. These paintings, if you can even call them that, are just white blank canvases, and some of them have little dots of paint on them. I even posted about the little dots of paint on one of the paintings, which from Bram Bogarts, called White Plain White. Bogart trained as a house painter before finding success as an artist. His work foregrounds paint as a physical substance, and he became particularly interested in the borders of his paintings. A curator observed Bogart's method. Working on the floor, he spreads his unique cement-like paint substance over a surface of jute attached to a canvas and wood. For this, he employs huge brushes and towels which can be up to 6 feet wide. A giant of a man, Bogart likes the width of his largest paintings to be within his own wingspan. And I'm sorry, but Bram, it's not giving. It's just white. You have that one where it's just a white spot on a white piece of paper. That is unacceptable. I'm sorry, but that is not worth so it took you about 2 seconds to get some paint and stick it on a piece of paper, and then you sold it for thousands and thousands to be put in a gallery for people who want to go and see art, who want to see these amazing pieces of art and feel these amazing feelings, see just a white canvas with a white splodge of paint on it. And I posted this on my story, and everyone was rightly so just kind of hating it. Everyone in my course, other people who were in my course who are doing my contemporary media practice course, who are artists themselves, just find it quite disheartening that these people who spend 2 minutes on their work gets them placed in a gallery. And I think that it's quite disappointing to a lot of us who try, and we can't present our work like this, and we don't get this amount of money that these people get. We'll talk about that later. But anyway, so that was the worst one. The rest of it is not quite as bad as that. I promise you, the rest of Tate Modern is quite beautiful. We then go into this room with lots of sort of child nostalgic paintings by Carl Herring Peterson. They are interesting. They are not too hard. They are fairly simple, but I have to appreciate the sort of childlike nostalgia that these bring, sort of painting in a childlike way, and I kind of understand to an extent why someone may want to buy these, but at the same time, your 5-year-old child can make something that is exactly the same quality. So while I can appreciate the inspiration that this person has gained to make these paintings, it is not necessarily the best. I then went into another room with some interesting paintings and sculptures. These were quite interesting. I liked these. These weren't harmful to the eyes or just white. They were actually interesting pieces of art that I could understand being put in a gallery. There was this weird sculpture. I'm not sure it's of any interest particularly. I'm not a sculpture person. I don't make sculptures, so I can't really say on how hard this must have been for this person to make. It is an interesting shape, I can't lie, but it is, again, white. It could do with a bit of colour, not gonna lie. But at the same time, it is interesting in a way. I can understand why this would be put in a gallery. Then went into this lovely room where we had these amazing sort of like drawn images by Alberto Giacometti. And this first one was called Interior in 1949. These are quite interesting to me. I quite like these paintings and I can understand these are in a gallery. He says in this painting, Giacometti depicts a corner of his studio that he used for 40 years, a small, damp and unheated ground floor room in a working class area of southern Paris. Several of his sculptures of standing or walking figures are on the work table, while some busts rest on the floor, like his portrait paintings. Giacometti renders this familiar scene as if dissected by his eye, quickly reconstructed on the canvas through bundles of energetic lines. He says, "Figures were never for me a compact mask, but like a transparent construction." And I quite like his stuff here. I think these, I couldn't make these. They're quite interesting. I like both of his images that are in this room, and I can understand why these would be put in a modern art gallery. These are interesting for the public to see. So then we go into this room where we have this incredible painting by Belkis Ayon, and it's called La Cena in 1991, or The Supper. La Cena derives from the stories about the initiation banquets from the secret Afro-Cuban brotherhood, Abakua. Belkis Ayon positions Princess Sikan as a central figure. Embellished, she stands out from the intricately decorated figures around her, subtly challenging the male-dominated nature of Abakua society. Ayon weaves symbols stemming from multiple belief systems into her visual vocabulary. The composition references Christian imagery of the Last Supper, while the background patterns relate to Nsibidi, a form of writing developed in Nigeria by Ekpe secret society, a precursor to Abakua. I'm so sorry if I pronounce any of those words wrong. I did my best. But this is a very interesting painting. I really like the symbolism there, and especially what they said about having a woman coming into a male-dominated space. And the Last Supper imagery is very interesting and is very visually striking, which is what I want to see in these kinds of things. Similarly, there was also this incredible painting that I could never do myself, and I did not write down who it was painted by, so unfortunately we just get to see this beautiful painting here, but it is incredible and I absolutely love it, and I wish I could make something this incredible for an art gallery like this. Then I went into the expressionist area where I found this thing by Nelson Lerner called Homage to Fontana. It says Homage to Fontana 2, oh, it's Homage to Fontana 2, sorry, is a playful tribute to Italian artist Lucio Fontana, who punctured or sliced canvases to create a new space beyond the surface of the painting. Lerner's work replaces the cuts with zippers, revealing panels of differently coloured fabric. Originally, Lerner invited viewers to make their own reversible cuts in the fabric by zipping and unzipping the panels. He planned to produce multiple versions of his homage to Fontana works to be sold at a very low cost. Okay, I was going to dunk on this guy, but at a low cost, that's okay. Because this is visually interesting. It is interesting. I'm not going to lie. There is colour. You can change things yourself. You can unzip things. You can zip things back up. But at the same time, it is a very simple design. So I personally would not pay too much money for this kind of work. And if he is selling them at a fairly low cost, then I can understand that. I think his work is quite interesting. It's visually interesting. It's not too complicated, but I do see its place in a gallery like Tate Modern. Then we just see a lot of boobs. There are quite a lot of breasts being shown, especially in modern art, in art in general. When I went to the National Gallery as well, you see a lot of breasts. They're like breasts. I don't have anything more to say about that. Then I came into this space where we had this incredible painting by Mark Bradford called Los Moscos in 2004. This work was made from several papers and fragments, some found on the streets near Bradford's studio in Inglewood, historically a black neighborhood of Los Angeles. Bradford was interested in the complex street life of his neighborhood, including the brightly colored storefronts, which the artist described as painted in emergency colours, signifying "we are here." The title is Spanish for "the flies." The artist reappropriates what is sometimes used as disparaging slang for migrant day labourers, laid out like a city. Los Moscos highlights the tensions, networks of exchange, and cultural complexions that can be found in a single neighbourhood. This is an incredible piece of work, and I do encourage you to go and see it. I love this. I wish I could do something like this. This absolutely has a place in modern art galleries. It is an incredible piece, and it's massive as well. And the explanation that the artist gives as well makes it very personal to him, and I think that's beautiful. I really, really like that. Then we enter another sort of disappointing room by Robert Delaunay. I'm not sure whether these pieces, maybe they do have some sort of maths integrated into it, but personally I am not a fan of this. This is very simple. Draw a line in the middle. Draw some circles. It's not that hard to get a protractor out and draw some circles. I'm sorry, Robert, but despite it may be to do with the rhythm and things like that, I think this kind of artwork is very, very simple and something that anyone can really do. Maybe if he was the first person to do it, which I'm not sure he can really say that, it might be more interesting, but for me, not too interesting. Now, I don't want to talk about all the artwork that I went to see. A lot of this is great. I love this pop art here. But then I also saw the incredible tower of radios. This is an incredible piece of work. Please go see it. It is called Babel from 2001 by Sildo Mireles. This is an incredible piece. You can hear all these sounds around. All the radios are tuned to a different radio station and they're playing at the same time. It's so cool. Go see it. So Sildo Mireles refers to Babel as the Tower of Incomprehension, comprising hundreds of radios, each tuned to a different station. The sculpture relates to the biblical story of the Tower of Babel, a tower tall enough to reach the heavens. God was offended by the structure and caused the builders to speak in different languages. No longer able to understand one another, they become divided and scattered across the earth. This is a really incredible piece of work, and I really like going to see it. You should definitely go see it. It looks amazing. It sounds amazing. Yeah, it's a good one. There are also some weird psychedelic pieces, which are really cool. This is my type of art. I really like this. I really want to make something like this. This is fairly simple, but I do really appreciate it, I can't lie. Then as we walk through, there are several other pieces. Then I got to the text room, where I was fairly disappointed with this sign saying leaders. I could make that if I had a 3D printer. I could print out every letter, stick it on a board, and then say some random shit about it. So I'm disappointed with this one. I don't think this is worth the amount that someone may have spent to buy this sculpture, whether it was, made by hand or what have you. I'm still not sure that this is that incredible. Leaders was by Ian Hamilton Finley in 1968. It was named after a boat Finley had come across and decided to turn it into a poem object. Finley compared his use of boat names to the practice of incorporating debris of everyday things or found objects in collages and assemblages. I suppose it could be akin to an idea of l'assemblage artist. So he doesn't even know. Finding a bus ticket with the colour or shape he wanted to complete a project work in this sense. Finley's poem objects give form to found language. So he doesn't really know what it means, and apparently that's a poem. Sorry, but 2 words is not a poem. I'm quite against poetry, I'm not going to lie. I much prefer long form poetry that is almost a story rather than just 3 lines on a piece of paper. I don't think that 3 lines are that impactful to be called a poem. And especially not 2 words that are literally just 3D printed and stuck on a board. Anyway, this one's from Richard Long. It's called In the Cloud 1991. Could you have guessed? Long's artworks are responses to the landscapes he walks through and his relationship with nature. This work is a description of a walk in the Cairngorms National Park in Scotland in 1991. Could you have guessed? It records the time he spent enveloped in cloud. Long started making words, describing his walks through text alone in 1969. Long commented that text gave him another possibility. Taking photographs records one moment, makes an image, and words can usually record a whole idea of a walk. They have different function, sometimes a more complete function. Yes, when you write like a whole story about your walk, it's not very interesting that you went on a walk, okay? What happened on this walk? Did you meet some incredible people? Did you see some incredible sights? This story does not tell me anything about your walk. It doesn't tell me how interesting it was. I would rather have a picture of the beautiful sunset, the beautiful views you might have seen, even if it's not very changed or anything like that. You don't have to make any kind of adjustments to your picture. Maybe have the picture and then put the words over the top. I think that would be more interesting for the viewer. Something like this, I'm not a fan of, and I'm not a big fan of poetry in general. I think 5 lines does not constitute a story and does not constitute much work being done. So anyway, I'm not a fan of this one. Sorry, Richard, this is not worth putting in a gallery. Then we had some other sort of text pieces. Then there was this incredible piece in one of the main galleries by Sarah Zay. This is an incredible piece. I like it. Not much more to say on that. It is a big sculpture that you walk under, and it is doing sort of photosynthesis or something while you are there, which is really cool. I like that. Then there were these little men, glass men with penises. Don't know. They're like the human body, don't they, artists? That's all I wanted to say about that, really. Then I saw this incredible piece by Anna Boggy-Gwain. This was really cool. I like this one. There were lots of people on the ceiling, hanging from the ceiling, and then when you come around to the other side, there are lots of other images of the oppressors, presumably, of the people on the front. I find this a very visually interesting piece, and it's very cool to walk around sort of these more interactive pieces that are large, and you can see things from different angles and things like that. I like sculptures. And then there was some more of these more boring expressionist work, which looks like someone had just taken a piece of paper and drawn on it painted yellow on the wall and stuck a mattress thing on the wall. I don't even know where that is. I don't know. But I'm not going to talk about these. I don't find these very visually interesting. And I think that they did not take enough time to be worth putting in a gallery. Hot take. Then I went over to the other side of the gallery and I found this exhibition, and there was this lovely piece where there was lots of rocks stuck on the wall. Well, they weren't stuck on a wall, they were like on a string. As you can see in the video, this was called Coal Sculpture with Wall of Coloured Glass. I will read this one because I think this one was cool and I like this. According to Cartoonists, coal and iron are the materials that best evoke the world of industrial revolution. The paraffin lamp alludes to the process of ore mining. Many of these suspended glass lumps appear to be natural. Like coal, glass can form over millennia through the heat and movement of the earth. Both coal and glass speak of the encounter between geological processes and human industry. Cartoonists considered all his works to be subject to change and often adapted them to different contexts or architectural settings. He made this installation in 2005 by combining 2 separate works. This is really interesting. I like this. This is what I want to go and see at a gallery, something that is quite interesting, colourful, and has a sort of backstory behind it. A lot of these artists kind of make up something shit about the piece of work, but I do like this one, and I think it is interesting to see how the artist has come to the conclusion here. Then I saw this lovely view, and then I decided to go to the gift shops, which were overpriced. I love all their stuff in their gift shops. I want to buy stuff, but it's all very overpriced. We see this kind of area where people were making things as well, which I think is quite nice. And there are lots of kids areas for kids to do stuff. They wouldn't find a gallery particularly interesting, so it's nice that they have a place to go. And then I left and got a Starbucks. So that was my day at Tate Modern. I thought it was nice. I liked it. I really wanted to get a map of the galleries, but they were £2, and I thought I don't want to spend £2 on a piece of paper. Although these galleries obviously spend lots more than £2 on pieces of paper, such as that white piece that we saw earlier, which would have definitely cost more than £2. It was definitely not worth more than the maps that they were selling at the gallery. So I personally feel quite offended that these pieces that took very little time have made it into the gallery, whereas my own pieces and thousands of other artists' pieces, people who are way better than me, barely get any views on Instagram. And these pieces are likely to take way longer and include way more thoughts than, well, that white painting that we saw earlier that likely took about 2 seconds. But why is this? Why do galleries take in these low effort pieces of work that cost very little time and very little money to make, but a lot of money to sell? Galleries are paid for by the rich and famous, and not because of the donations us lower class provide. You will find the names of famous people on the walls of certain gallery spaces, such as Sir Elton John on the Victoria and Albert Museum, like I saw a few months ago. And these are people who are deciding on what is worth being shown to the public, and more widely, what is worth paying an extortionate amount for. So oftentimes artists have connections in industry with powerful people and are able to sell their shitty pieces to the gullible rich without real efforts. This is an unfortunate truth which makes breaking into the art industry incredibly difficult unless you already have those valuable connections. So as we can see, the rich and powerful are buying these pieces from people that they know because they want to give them their money and keep the money in the rich circle, and then these pieces end up in art galleries with a little speech from the artist saying, "Oh, I made this because it makes me feel a certain way," or something along those lines, some kind of bullshit excuse to why they have made their piece of art. And the rich fall for it and the poor pay for it, essentially. So what can we do about it? Well, there's not much we can do about that. We can continue to call out buyers for their purchases of these silly artworks and these galleries for showing us pieces that are not interesting at all to the eye, do not bring any kind of thought. But more so, we can support small artists by buying their pieces and following them on their socials. We can help them to gain a following and gain the money that they deserve for the art that clearly takes them a long time to do and takes a lot of effort and a lot of resources, especially compared to things like that white painting that we saw earlier. Perhaps it is even possible to host events where artists can sell their work in local marketplaces rather than going to a large gallery. So if you go to a nice local art space, you may see incredible works from local artists who are not getting the amount of money that these incredibly rich artists get, but have indeed put in at least the same amount of work, if not incredibly more, than these people. But regardless, rich people will continue to do what they do best, making money for themselves and making everyone else that they know even richer, making themselves richer. So they will continue to spend money on themselves and each other, essentially, because they don't want to give to us normal people, obviously. So having said all that, I wanted to point out a few artists that I know on Instagram. A lot of these are cartoonists and tattooists because that is something that I'm particularly interested in, and I have a few lovely tattoos by some incredible tattoo artists on Instagram, but I've also got some artists as well. Here are the artists on the screen. We have Madison Art, Bradley Copeland Studio, MK Fluo, and I Am Will Blood. These are incredible artists that you can find on Instagram. Go follow them, go support them. Some of the cartoonists are Roseku, Chef Gatsby, Devon Scribbles, Solowola, Tisflo, Wolfie the Collie, and Pocaf79. These are also incredible cartoonists. I love their work. Also definitely support indie animation and indie art wherever you can. And the tattooists that I love right now, and I need to get a tattoo from all these people. I have some tattoos from some of these people. Shark Tea, I Can Poke You, Morgan Sky Tattoo, Moal Tattoo, Ghost Ink 333. I have 3 tattoos from Milena. She's an incredible artist in London, so if you are in London, she has some incredible pieces that are very low cost. Please go visit her. There's also Liddy Baby Tattoo. I really want to get a tattoo from her. She is from Sheffield. and I would love to get one of her lovely cute pieces. She's an apprentice, and one day I will definitely get something from her. Bunny Tats, I have a lovely boba cat from Bunny Tats, and I will be getting another one in August from her. She's an incredible colour tattooist. Please go and support where you can. Kiki Tattoo, Violet Velvet Tattoo, Kettle Tats, Isabelli, and Elle Tattoo. All these people are incredible people. Elle Tattoo is in Nottingham if you are that area. I really want to visit her one day and get one of her fire Kirby's. But yeah, these people are incredibly amazing people that don't get nearly as much attention as these people who have a white piece of paper in a gallery. So please go and support small artists wherever you can. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you did enjoy. This has been a very long one for me to record. My camera came off about 10 times during this recording. So I hope you did enjoy, and if you did, make sure to like and subscribe. Comment down below anything that you want to talk about. If you want to have a friendly debate in the comments, I am happy to do so. I find that contemporary art is just a mockery of what art really is, especially when so many people put in so much effort and so much work and thought into their pieces, whereas there are other people who simply do not put enough effort in, and they have all their art posted on these walls of these incredible galleries and get loads of money for it. I just don't think that that's right. And you are entitled to your opinion. I'm sure there'll be people who disagree with me, some people who did take more, and so my degree isn't specifically art, so there are other people who may have taken a degree which is a bit more rounded with the view of contemporary arts. But I hope that this video was interesting, and I hope you enjoyed my visit to the London Tate Modern. I'm thinking of doing more long form videos. There are lots of things that I really want to talk about in a very long form, so if you would like to see that, remember to subscribe, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.